This was a bust from scale 75. Bianca, I think the figure name was. I did a Kickstarter and it was for several 32mm figures and a bust of your choice. Luckily I got her as she was only available near the end. I am not sure what drew me to the figure in the first place, though it is hard to admit that a space armoured ninja is not a bunch of fun. Usually once a year I pick a friend to do a miniature of. This is usually done in jest and some friendly joking around. I had done Mini Lenny in combat gear before, and for him I chose one of the Infinity range. I really wanted a grumpy sci-fi machine gunner freezing his ass off on some alien planet, but I had to make do. But it's all in good fun. This year I picked Catherine. She plays in my D&D games, is a personal trainer from my old gym, and a very cool friend. She is talented, dedicated, and genuine, and if you're in Toronto and need a personal trainer, you can find her site in the description below, as she is awesome. Now I like the bust a lot. It's a simple design for the armour, it's not too complicated, which is nice as starting out on a project like this I didn't want anything difficult. I've never painted a bust before. Because I play RPGs, a vast amount of miniatures are full figure 28mm, so they are a lot smaller. Now with small figures sometimes it's like an oil painting. From a distance they look great, but when you get up close you can see all the techniques that went into the illusion, and there is nothing wrong with that. If the viewing distance is meant to be 3 feet and it looks amazing at 3 feet, then the artist has done exactly what they are meant to do. Now there are certainly some techniques on a bust that are illusion, but for the most part, with their larger scales, you can't do that. The techniques used are realism. Now while in some cases illusion techniques can be easier than realism, it's not always the case. A lot comes down to the artist's individual style, how their brain works, how they perceive things artistically, and of course, the painter's individual skill. The bust was a huge learning curve for me, as I had not done anything like it before. I spent some time looking up busts and painting in larger scales to get an idea. Overall, things went how I wanted. Where it differed was the blue I used was reasonably bright, but after the various washes were layered on, it did darken that down. If I did it over, I'd probably hold back the last 2 washes just to brighten the blue a little. However, having said that, the dark armour does tend to lead you up to the face and hair, which in the long run probably is a good thing. The figure has some very nice curves, but it isn't sexualized like some of the other figures out there, so bringing more attention to the face also works. Now with a bust of this size, the eyes become vital, and they took forever to get how I wanted, and they are nowhere near as good as some of the bust painters out there. Those guys are amazing, but I am happy with how mine turned out. I went with 2 blues, and both blues were used in the armour. Now Cat has 2-toned hair, and I did a brown hair with the front shaded with orange. I wanted to do an eyeliner to accentuate the eyes, and it would bring extra attention to the face, but I just did not have a brush small enough, and the job required an unbelievably tiny brush. Overall, I was very happy with the quality of it. The resin used was strong and held the detail well. I primed it, and after that it took paint very well indeed. The bust itself is Bianca and comes from scale 75, and I am looking forward to getting more scale 75 miniatures.